But why are Americans so darn broke? And you know, the reality falls into two broad categories. The first category is external, and the second category is things we all need to think about and reflect on. So let's go for a walk and let's talk about the external factors first. And I think the first one is housing costs. You know, housing costs have just skyrocketed. I grew up in a lower middle class, blue collar family. My father did not, neither of my parents had a college education. Neither of my parents ever made more than, for sure, 3 times minimum wage, and probably the vast majority of their life at 2 times minimum wage. But you know what? Somehow they were able to buy a house. They were able to pay off that house. They were able to raise 3 children. It's so much more difficult to do that now. And why is that? Okay, the housing costs. You know, when I was a little kid, when my father probably bought his first house in the late 1960s, the early 1970s, the average house in the United States cost just 2 times the average wages, the average salary that the average American earned. Okay, so 2 times your full salary and you could buy a house. What is that number now? It's somewhere between 5 and 6 times the average American salary, depending on which report you read. And you know, as I look around the United States, boy, there's a lot of places where 5 to 6 times your salary is not going to buy you a house. So housing is one of those external factors. And like I said, there's internal things that we're doing, behavioral issues, and we're getting to those. But let me talk about one other external factor, and that is the cost of automobiles. Now, you know, shame on us because we're choosing to buy more expensive vehicles. There are less expensive vehicles out there. But the reality is cars are not just cars today, right? Cars are high-tech computers, complex systems. When I was in my 20s, I could work on my car myself. I could fix most things. I wasn't that great. They used to have these books that you could check out at the library, and they would, that was the YouTube of the day, was the library. You'd get these books, I think they were called Chinook. Somebody put in the comments what the books were that we had, but it would give you a range of years and the make and model of your car, and tell you how to change your brake pads, tell you how to do, you know, various tasks that weren't too complicated. To do that stuff now is way too complicated, right? They all have electronic sensors. You know, if I did that work, all the lights on my dashboard would be on. So not only are cars cars, but they're also computers, and they're about to become supercomputers, right? With self-driving cars. So the average car in the United States, and this is just for a totally normal car. This is like a Toyota. The average car in the United States is $48,000. I mean, that's a lot of money for a car, right? And so I think those two external factors are putting pressure on families, and we're spending a fair amount of money. And our desire to drive new cars is also playing a role in this. I read the other day, 1 in 6 people are signing up for a car payment that is over $1,000 a month just for the car payment, right? And these are not like 3-year loans. That, you know, it's not like people are accepting a higher car payment to pay off the loan earlier. These are loans for 5, 6, 7 years. So those are the two external factors. But then we also have to take responsibility for our own behavior as well, right? Housing, yes. Car prices are up, yes. But then we also just have to look at ourselves from a personal standpoint. And what is our behavior? And I break this down into 3 main areas. And, you know, the third one is one we were supposed to learn in kindergarten. So stick around because unfortunately many of us have not learned that lesson. And I'm not being critical. I'm just sharing as a fee-only financial advisor what I see, right? I mean, I'm fortunate. I'm working with the people that have learned how to save, have invested, have accumulated their net worth. And many of you watching, most of you watching probably, are in this situation. But these are the main habits when I do volunteer work and help out at my church and give people advice, or friends talk to me for advice. These are the things that I see, and then also just studies in the industry. So number one is too much spending of tomorrow's dollars today, right? I mentioned about housing prices, and we all know housing prices have gone up dramatically in the last 3, 4, 5 years, over the last 15 years. So there's a lot of people that have home equity in their house, and that's a great thing. But if you're spending it along the way, right? If you're using that home equity to put a pool in the backyard, or other things that are not investment related, they're things that you're consuming, then really what you're doing is you're spending tomorrow's money today. And where that's, so one place for that I see that is with home equity. Another place I see it is loans from people's 401ks. Early withdrawals from their retirement accounts are near all-time highs. It's getting to be very commonplace to do it. But remember, those are funds that we're setting aside and we want to let grow. That's really where the power comes in, is with the compounding that can take place. So as you take money out of it, you're taking away the ability of that money to really work hard for you as you get older, right? If you put that money in when you're 30 and you're 40, well, when you're 50 and 60, that money has grown and is now working harder for you than you can work for yourself. In other words, that account, it's by design, you want your retirement accounts to be growing at a pace greater than the amount of money that you can put in every year. So leaky retirement accounts, leaky home equity, spending tomorrow's money today is behavioral issue number one. Behavioral issue number two is comparison. You know, comparing yourself to somebody else and saying, oh, well, they just bought a new car, now I want to buy a new car. Or they bought a boat, now I want to buy a boat. You know, I can tell you a secret. The way to enjoy boating the most is to have a friend that has a boat and offer to pay for their gas if they take you out for the day, you and your family. I had a neighbor in that situation. He loved it because fuel for a boat is a lot of money. So he got to take his family out. Me and my family got to go out, and you know, I paid for all the gas, and I was happy to do that, right? So that's the best way to enjoy a boat, is enjoy your buddy's boat. You don't have to buy a boat because your buddy got a boat. Just enjoy your buddy's boat. And then the one that we were supposed to learn in kindergarten that maybe we didn't learn, that we should have learned, but unfortunately we didn't learn as well as we should have, is the delayed gratification, right? That marshmallow experiment, where they put a marshmallow in front of a kid and say, if you don't eat this marshmallow now, later you're going to have 2 marshmallows. And I think it was like 2 out of 3 kids could do that, roughly, but there were some people that had a hard time with that. And unfortunately, that carries through in life. So just, you do the best you can, you do as good as you can. And if you want to learn more, I encourage you to watch this video that talks about 8 things to stop doing as you approach 60 so that you can enjoy life more. In this video down here, that despite what I've just shared here, says you're probably richer than you think you are. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.